First of all, rate the fit. Not bad. Got a little belly. Need to work on that. Day 2 of talking to the camera and getting better at talking, getting comfortable, becoming better, becoming sharper, and having to remember that in the moment it may not feel like progression, but it is. It's a very slow kind. It's not nearly as noticeable as day 1 and then day 100, right? Because that's a substantial difference. That's a lot of time put into the craft. And of course you're gonna see the difference at that time. But today, on day 2, I hope you guys enjoy this outfit. It's something different. Got the matching light with the purple. So, what should we talk about today, hey? How about I just go through my day-to-day, my typical day-to-day. So right now it's 12. It's almost 12 o'clock a.m. I gotta get up in the morning. I work for UPS, United Parcel Service, and tomorrow I am driving. So I'm not a full-time driver. I'm a part-time driver. They call it a TCD. Temporary cover driver is what it stands for. And it's not bad. UPS, it's not a bad job. Of course, it has its pros and cons. I can elaborate more on those things perhaps on a different video, or maybe even this one. But it's definitely not where I see myself being for the next decade, even, No. It's not that good of a job. And I typically ask drivers, people that have been driving for a while, and of course there's circumstances of why someone is, or why someone has a job that, of course it provides security. They don't have to worry about, having a business, I suppose. Some of them probably do have businesses, but their main source of income is predominantly working at UPS, and given they make 6 figures, in a year, which is pretty impressive. But you're selling your time, you're selling your body. It's hard work. Not that you should shy away from hard work, but I think if you put the same amount of hard work into something else, you'd be able to accomplish so much in this life. And that's where I come in at, That's why I don't see myself being a driver for 10 years or whatever, Some of these guys have been working for 2 decades, and literally some of them be limping into work, and it's not the life that you'd envision for yourself, because our body is our vessel. You got to take care of it for as long as you can. And I'm not saying it's not possible to do that by working safe at the job, but there's so much pressure when you're on the job. External pressure from the supervisors, all these other, time constraints that they put on you, that it makes you want to hustle, and you're not even really following all the rules all the time, because it's really hard to do that and get the job done in a timely manner, at least. And even when you don't do that, you still don't finish on time. So that says that about that. So, but I talked to the drivers, like I was talking about. I even talked to the driver today. He's been with the company for a while, and we were just having a conversation about just the pros and cons, I suppose you could say. I came at him with my perspective, which is, besides the point that I made of circumstances that these people might have, families that they depend on them, so I understand that. But if you're a young male and you're single, you really don't got any liabilities. I do got a family, but luckily we all work together to take care of the house and all of our needs, so it works out pretty well. And I think that's a smarter way to go about it, but obviously not everyone is fortunate enough to be in that situation. So my perspective is, if you are a young male, you got your whole life ahead of you. I'm about to be 25, so I'm basically 25 at this point. If you're able to achieve this much in life, or if you're meant to achieve this much in life through God's vision, right? But just because of the security, the comfortability that comes with the job, and this is the driver right here, you're meant for this in life, but you're settling for this. I'm not comfortable with that thought. That's exactly why I don't see myself being tied down to anything. I think being able to have your location freedom, your time freedom, and just freedom in general is the ultimate luxury in this modern world. Your time. Money's subjective. You may believe that 6 figures is a lot of money, and for a lot of people that is a lot of money, and they're willing to do the work and to sacrifice everything else for that money. But I think that's also thinking very small. That's not pushing your limits. And I say it's subjective because there's people that make way more money doing way less work, at least not physical work. What do you call that? If they can do it, you can too. That should be the mindset. That should be reassuring to yourself that anything is possible. And I know that's easier said than done. I know it sounds good. It sounds good on video. It sounds good when I'm telling you this. But it's one of the hardest things to have to see through time, to really believe in yourself that deeply, and possibly even be delusional to the point where people think you're crazy. And that's fine. That's kind of what you gotta sacrifice for the time being. But when everything works out, they'll say you're lucky, right? Or they'll say that you're so talented all of a sudden, when all along they thought you were crazy. You're the crazy one. for making the brave choice. People that make the brave choice in life, we tend to think that they're the crazy ones. Isn't that kind of funny? But these are the exact same people that change the world in this modern day. Elon Musk. Hate the guy, love the guy, I don't care what you think. This is me speaking. He's so delusional that he believes he's able to do X, Y, Z, and he's been able to do a lot of those things just because he had his mindset on point. He believed in his dream more than anyone else could talk him out of it for, you know? I hope that makes sense. So going back to the driver, he mentioned also, he was like, yeah, it's not really worth it. You sacrifice a lot of your family time, you sacrifice a lot of your personal time, your personal freedom to have this job. And I don't think humans are supposed to live that way, you know? That's basically modern day slavery. It just comes with a little bit of, you know, give and take, carrot and stick. So just keep that in mind if you're hearing this. I know yesterday for my day one video, I was mentioning how it's hard to be proud of oneself. And although there are a lot of things to be proud of, for the simple fact that you're here and you're still living, and not just proud but grateful, you know. It's a very comforting thought to believe that way, even though it might not be as simple at times. And today, alhamdulillah, it was a beautiful day. I can't complain. I worked this morning, 4 in the morning, 4:35, at the warehouse. Went and got some shit done, you know. I didn't hit the gym, but I went and go stretch everything out because, yeah, it was a little tight today, but I'll be right back. I gotta drop a deuce. I apologize, but we're back. Thank you for waiting. I know that you really didn't wait, but I did. Had to go to the washroom real quick. I never ran so fast, and like I said, it's 12 at night, so I even tripped over something, but forget about it. Now, I don't quite remember what I was talking about, but well, I do. I just don't know exactly where I was. But yeah, just don't think small. Always think larger. The people that changed this world were the ones that were delusional. They were the ones that were brave enough to make the brave choice, you know? And I need to follow this advice more than anyone else. I'm just regurgitating this advice because it's what I believe. And what you believe, you should act upon. And it doesn't have to be all of a sudden. You don't have to go cold fucking turkey and go to fucking different country all of a sudden. You can, you know. But making the brave choice will lead to a life that's filled with stories, with ups and downs, and that's, I suppose, what's It's so beautiful about life. And just being a driver, I apologize if I keep ranting on. I apologize if I keep ranting about this fucking job. I'm trying to get a point across, and I feel like I've got that point across, but you know, I'm just ranting. That's all it is. Yeah. So, what do we do now? We made the brave choice. This right here, me, you seeing me, this is me making the brave choice. No, I'm not fucking taking a bullet to the chest. But this is me stepping out of my comfort zone, even though I feel like people. Here's the thing, people tend to have this expectation when you're a decent looking guy, a great looking guy, they think that you just kind of have it together, or that you got to kind of figure it out, or that you got things going for you. And there are things going for me, except they don't see this side. They don't see the fact that this is a brave choice for me. They think this is just normal. They think that me being able to do this is something that comes naturally. It doesn't. It doesn't come naturally to anyone. I don't care if you're fucking the most handsome man in the world or you're the fucking ugliest man, you know? And I admire people that are able to step into that uncomfortability or into a zone or a phase where they're not sure of what might happen, despite the judgments that may come along with something like this, especially with the vast opinions of the internet. You know, in the end, it doesn't matter. All what really matters is you making that brave choice. As I mentioned in my last video for day one, that I've been wanting to do content creation. I used to watch Comedy Shorts Gamer, KSI, Vanos Gaming. I used to be a game nerd a little bit. I wouldn't say a nerd, but I was a nerd. Come on, I was a loser. And I've come a long way. I'll probably even drop a picture of what I used to look like. And I'm almost unrecognizable. Almost. That person 10 years ago, 5 years ago, they wouldn't sit here talking to you on the camera, talking to myself really, or my audience, my future audience. So if I can do it, and I know it seems like I got everything going for me, that I have no reason to not do it, so do you. I don't want to appear as if I'm better than anyone else. You know, I don't talk about being better than everyone else. I just do the work. And through the work, people will see that you're doing something that most would avoid doing. And that's bravery. All you can do is try. And what's really the worst that can happen? I want you to answer that for yourself. You can even pause the video if you like. What's the worst that's going to happen? And I need to think about this myself. And really, nothing. We die. Life goes on. Doesn't really matter. You know? Because I'm not gonna think about when I'm pass on from this life that all of these opinions that are no more perfect than I am are imperfect as I am. That their opinions mattered ever. And that's a hard hurdle to overlook because we're surrounded by people that we grew up around, and depending on how you grew up around them and your relationship to those people, the dynamics between you guys, it could be a hard thing to overcome, you know, because I really don't know how I'd feel about my family watching this video. I'd probably feel a little nervous. And that's not because I'm saying some crazy shit. We always try to hold up this facade of who we are. Even this right now, I feel like this is just a facade. You know, I have no reason to be dressed this nice. It's fucking 12 at night, past 12 midnight, you know. I'm not going nowhere. I just like to dress nice, and that's just what it is. But to be able to embrace yourself for who you are and be unapologetic about it is a very powerful thing. And it's very admirable to say what you want, to do what you want to a degree, and not be afraid of people's judgments, your own judgment, you know, be fearful of what would happen. It's controversial to say this once again, but this is interesting. Kanye West doesn't give a fuck about what you think or what I think about him. And I believe that is the very reason not him alone, there's a few other influential people out there that are the same exact way, and look at them. They don't care about you. They don't even watch this video. They're not gonna watch this video. Kanye's not gonna watch this video and be like, man, he's right. He might, but you never know. And even if he did, the small little clip where I mentioned his name, right? He's not gonna let it weigh on him. Not like he should. Not like I'm going to be doing that as well, but that's a hurdle that you have to kind of get over, especially when you want to venture into this career or this path of creativity, this path of being able to articulate and document what you think and what you believe in this current moment. And beliefs change. It would be very odd to believe the same exact things that I believe in this present moment 10 years from now after I've experienced some life, if I'm still around. Then I'd be crazy. But that's not the case. Because even 5, 10 years ago from this moment before, I don't believe those things anymore. There's a lot of things I just don't believe. There's a way of life that I lead now that doesn't align with how I was behaving at the moment back then. So why expect yourself to be the same way or to hone the same things that you do at this current moment, the things that you hold valuable? Obviously there's non-negotiables like family, XYZ, right? But even all that's subjective, you know? I think that concludes for day 2. I've been talking for over 20 minutes, so let's talk about that. My first day, I was thinking about this, and I was not even trying to, I was proud of myself for being able to do that. Even do this right now, right? Because my first time actually talking to the camera, and I've done it before, but in small increments, nothing like this. I never thought I'd be able to rant on about things, random things. There's no organization at the moment. This is just like raw, unscripted, just gold. And I'm proud of myself for being able to speak my mind, And while I was analyzing the video from yesterday, I did notice the audio was a little muffled, and I apologize for that. It's not going to be perfect for the time being. And I am going to probably end up getting a mic, so that way my beautiful voice can actually, echo into the ears of your soul. Okay. Yeah. And even with the video that I made yesterday for day 1, I posted it, which that wasn't what I was planning on doing. It just happened to be the brave choice. It was literally the rawest thing ever put out. And, I put out some raw things. But, you know what I mean. You don't just talk to the camera for 20 minutes, 30 minutes at this point, I feel like, and just, even if you feel like you sound stupid, which to a degree I know I did, I know that I was slurring, I know that even in this video I was not perfect. I'm not perfect. But to strive towards perfection is, that's the goal. We may never get there, but just being able to really have that as your target. And I do believe deep within my soul that today I did a great job. So I'm proud of myself. And I'm proud of you. Hopefully this inspires you to do the same. Not the same exact thing, but to make the choice. and the choice is yours. Good night, guys.